Hi, welcome back to Barely Keto. I'm Carl. Let's get going. How you doing? Okay, so I've put a teaspoon of ground black pepper in the bowl already. And this mix is very simple. Then we're going to take a half a cup of Duke's unsweetened mayonnaise. And I don't even measure this anymore. I've been making this since I was 19 years old. I learned about it in a college speech class, and it's been with me ever since. And then this is a half a cup of the homemade blue cheese dressing. And the recipe for that's already up on the Google Drive. So we're just going to put that in there so there's no sweeteners in this either. And this is going to be the fastest dinner I think I've made yet on this channel. So you just whisk this together a few times. And the setup is really simple. We're going to make some breadcrumbs next with a couple slices of the Schmidt's 647 bread, and you toast it, it just turns out better that way, and a quarter of a cup of the pecorino romano, and that's the shredded kind. And then you just put this in for about a minute. And then once you dip the chicken breasts in the blue cheese mixture, we're going to roll it basically in the breadcrumb mixture that we just made, and then put it in the 9-inch square baking dish. And this bakes at 350 degrees for about 40 minutes. It kind of depends on how cold and thick your chicken breasts are. So we're just going to put these in here, and it works best if you dry the chicken off. If you try to do it right from the packaging, all the blood and fluid from the chicken makes it really hard for the dressing to stick to the meat. And just get an even coating, put it in. And then I just pour this on top. I mean, it's so few carbs, what the heck. And then you put a pat of butter, which is about a tablespoon. And you can use, if you don't have a problem with salt, you can use salted butter. I stick with unsalted butter because it's a higher quality butter. The salt hides the fact that it doesn't actually taste as good. And that's it. So we're going to put this in the oven, and I will see you on the other side. So I had this in for about 45 minutes, threw together a salad. I figure you all know how to make a salad. You can put whatever you want in it. But you can see the butter helps the breadcrumbs crisp up, and just let it sit for maybe 5 minutes. They always say it's best to let your meat rest before you serve it. This is very fast, very tender, delicious. So I thought it would be a good time for you to finally meet the man behind the power of Barely Keto. This is Jim, my husband.
Hello.
So Jim, I've shared anecdotally my version of how we came to this and your willingness to join in. So, I couldn't do this if you hadn't agreed to do it with me. So I just want to thank you for that. And I don't know, talk to me a bit about how it's been for you.
I think it's been a bit of an adjustment in how we eat and what we eat. And there's certainly a lot of foods that I miss. But I do feel overall it's been a big help, to both of us for helping to shed a lot of unwanted pounds and also help, all of our numbers.
And I mean, I've talked about this, but how did your doctor take it, and was that a goal of yours specifically when you agreed to start this journey, or is this something that you kind of just fell into and you realized some benefits? I guess for people who are at home who are I really want to do this, but my spouse or partner isn't really, keen on the idea of giving up these things. Just share your thought process and what you might say to them.
Well, for me, I thought the benefit would be to help lose weight. and the numbers decrease was definitely a side benefit. But I was really looking at it as a way to help lose weight, and by doing it together, I think that helps us it, to stay true to the diet, because we can check one another, and I think having your spouse or partner participate in the diet helps to keep keep the focus on what you're trying to do and accomplish. And I think the once I went to the doctor and saw the benefit in my numbers, that also helped reinforce the commitment to the diet.
And we've had, we've taken some breaks. My birthday was the week before last, and there were cupcakes. I'm not proud, but they were good. And there was a lot of food-based debauchery, which I paid the price for, which I've learned that when I go off the diet, I immediately, like, my tinnitus starts ringing my ears. I'll get physically nauseous sometimes in a few hours. So it is an interesting price. And other diets that I've done, I've been able to have cheat days without the kind of physical toll. Once you give up the sugar and the carbs and your body gets used to not having that, it's hard to reintroduce them again. I know.
Although the cupcakes were delicious.
They were good and they were beautiful. Go Buffers of Bakington, Downingtown, Pennsylvania. Um, so you went back to work last week for a day, and you were talking about that a bit. Like, just what are your thoughts about being able to do the diet and go back to an office model, and what are your I mean, are those going to be sort of like de facto cheat days, or there's going to be things where we're going to start coming up with 10-minute bag lunches for an item on the show? What do you think?
Well, I think we have a company cafeteria, and in my day back this week, I realized that there was a lot of most everything in the cafeteria probably was not keto friendly, and I did choose something that was not technically on the diet, but in kind of looking around at all the different offerings, I did realize that there are some keto friendly options that I could utilize at the cafeteria, and I think you just have to be much more aware of what you're eating and what your options are. In the past, I never would have given a second thought of what I wanted to eat. I would have just gone and ordered it. But now I think trying to be participating in the diet, you do have to be more aware and watch what you're eating.
That was Patience paying us all a visit. She might not make the cut, but there she was.
She has a lot to say.
She does. Oh, speaking of a lot to say and a lot of things, how do you feel about all the dishes that I am generating in this endeavor?
Well, I've started a YouTube channel called Mountains of Dishes to provide tips to anyone who is also in my position as the official cleaner of the household. But the recipes are really good, and we both are benefiting from the diet, so I don't mind.
He's very gracious because I'm looking at them now. The reason we're sitting on this side of the counter is on that side is Dirty Dish Mountain. He's trying to escape from Dirty Dish Mountain on a regular basis. And it's been interesting too. We just moved to this area, so we've casually met some of the friends. The pandemic didn't help very much, and we met some of our neighbors who have become friends. And it is nice because when we make a meal, it's a large output. It's nice to farm it out to neighbors who also seem to be enjoying it. So I think I'm my worst critic on some of these things. The gumbo comes to mind, which you guys haven't seen yet, but I was not a fan, but everybody else liked it. So I'm gonna have to figure out what my thing is with that and try it again. Personally, I think it's the okra. It's kind of slimy. What else? Is there anything else you like? What would you like to say or share?
Well, I think one thing that I've learned personally is it is important to make sure when you're embarking on a diet / lifestyle like this to not make it perfect, I think you can really get yourself wrapped up into being perfect on the diet, and that really probably doesn't help you in the long run. And I think having cheat days, even if you have a hamburger on a bun, having that once in a while really helps with the rigid requirements of the diet, and sometimes it helps blow off a little steam, and you enjoy something that you used to enjoy.
Like romping through the house with your hawking bells on. So, well, you don't have the you don't seem to get the physical price that I get when you cheat, do.
I don't.
Lucky bastard.
And well, I think some of it is, like for lunch, I've cut out a lot of carbs, but I still have a sandwich on the, low carb bread.
Oh no, I mean like when we go out and we have French fries somewhere, or
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't have those physical impacts.
lucky bastard. And one of the things that I've hit is I'm still at this wall with this. I vacillate back and forth between these 3 and 4 pounds, and like I've added in exercise. I'm walking from 0 to 3 miles 3 or 4 times a week, and I'm still stuck. And I've toned down the alcohol. I used to have something every single day. Now I have something maybe 3 or 4 days a week. I'm still working down to 2 or maybe 0, but you know it's a ritual. It's like I drink when I'm cooking. It's sort of part of my evening wind down, but they're calories that I don't need. Like, have you gotten stuck at all with your weight? I mean, the birthday debauchery notwithstanding, like how, like, are you in the same boat where you're kind of plateaued for a bit?
Yeah, I have been plateauing, and I'm hoping that with the nicer weather and being able to get outside more, we'll be able to kind of increase our level of physical activity, which I think will help.
Yeah, we've got bike riding on the list for the summer. We want to make it to Philly and back sometime. So, all right. Well, anything else you'd like to say?
No, I appreciate, a lot of the work. There's been a tremendous amount of research and trying to experiment and figure out, the best options on the diet that, you've been, really focused on, and I appreciate it.
Thanks. I couldn't do it without you.
Vice versa.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.